Hello, friends. It's good to see you. It is Wednesday, April 15th. Congratulations on not having to turn your taxes in today. As I was considering what I might do for our daily pause, I was thinking about the Psalms. In fact, I read a psalm with you last week. The Psalms have always been incredibly important to the Reformed tradition, Presbyterians. In fact, they used to be the only hymns that we would sing, as that a leader would either line out a psalm and then it would be repeated, or what were called the metrical psalms. And so I thought during this time it might be powerful to return to the church's early songbook. Every week we do in fact use a psalm in worship. Our call to worship every week is from a psalm. And so as I was looking at Psalms for Praying, An Invitation to Wholeness by Nan Merrill, a book that almost assuredly was given to me by Buff Barnes, I took a look at Psalm 16, which is the psalm for this Sunday. And if you would join me in prayer, we will pray through it. Let us pray. Remain ever before me, O living presence, for in you I am safe. You are my beloved. In you and through you I can do all things. I look to those who are at one with you and learn from them of your ways. My delight increases each time I sense your presence within me. Songs of praise well up from my heart. Love is my chosen food, my cup, holding me in its power. Where I have come from, wherever I shall go, love is my birthright and my true estate. I bless the counselor who guides my way. In the night also does my heart instruct me. I walk beside the Spirit of truth. I celebrate the light. I bask in the oneness of all. Thus my heart is glad and my soul rejoices. I shall not be afraid, nor fall into the pit of despair. For in love's presence I know fullness of joy. You are my beloved, and in you I will live forever. Amen. Reading through it, and it's a paraphrase of the psalm, but it comes to this point: I shall not be afraid, nor fall into the pit of despair. For in love's presence I know fullness of joy. And that is true. And it's also not true. There are days where we know love more powerfully, then there are days where we do despair. And there are things to despair about, especially just now. And so let me encourage you to acknowledge that feeling of despair, to give it a little space to roam around, to say what we are feeling is not normal, to say what was normal did not necessarily always lead to good things for us. But now there is this time of solitude, which can feel deeply like loneliness. But there's a time of quiet in which the critic in our head can jump up and yell terrible things to us. But here is a moment where we can rely upon God. Does not mean that we won't feel despair. Anyone who has been deep into this life will tell you that. Sometimes because we're close to God, we feel the despair even more keenly because we know it's real and our love of God draws us close to other people. We see people who are injured and who are perishing because of this disease. But we also know, truthfully, over and over, the major claim of our gospel is that we will be the people of God and God will be our God. That God will not leave us abandoned. And indeed, that even as we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil, for God is with us. That is the promise of who God is, that God is with us. That is what Emmanuel means. That is what Jesus means when he came to us, is that we are not alone as we face what is difficult. And so I return to the psalm and I pray it one more time. I pray the end one more time. I invite you to pray with me. I bless the counselor who guides my way. In the night also does my heart instruct me. I walk beside the Spirit of truth. I celebrate the light. I bask in the oneness of all. Thus my heart is glad and my soul rejoices. I shall not be afraid, nor fall into the pit of despair. For in love's presence I know fullness of joy. You, Lord, are my beloved, and in you I will live forever. May it be so.